My name is Jeff Van Treese. I'm going to be going over toll-free verification and submitting the regulatory documents. There is a new regulation coming into place on November 8th that all numbers that do not have a verification in place, all the unverified numbers, will be completely blocked from sending SMS. And so we're going to go over filling out the regulatory document in this video. Once you complete that document, it normally takes 1 to 3 business days to enter pending verification. Once you're in pending verification, the daily limit is 2,000, weekly 6,000, monthly 10,000. It normally takes 4 to 6 weeks for them to make a final decision. The national aggregator will either do verified or denied. Once verified, all of the downstream regulations as far as limits for volume are removed. And the only limit that is in place is the Microsoft limit of 200 messages per minute. If that limit is needing to be increased, you can open a service ticket with us and we can work on increasing it. I'm going to mention this now and then we'll mention it again later. The only status that you will see in Azure portal is submitted or verified or denied. And so you will not get a status change when it enters pending verification. If you have a ticket open with Microsoft, give us the application ID that is found on the regulatory document page, and we can tell you if it is pending verification or not. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the portal.azure.com and select your ACS resource. You'll notice a purple icon next to it. Go down on the left-hand blade, you'll see regulatory documents. We're going to create a new application. This is the place where you will have your application ID. So if you need to open a support ticket with us, please have that application ID included in the ticket so that we can get the status of your phone numbers. We select our country, followed by which numbers in our ACS resource need to be verified. And so you can only do this if you're in the right resource group and have that correct ACS resource selected. The first portion is going to be the company details. So you're going to enter everything about your company. You're going to need to have the company website here. If this URL does not load for some reason, that is a reason for this application to be denied. So make sure that that is entered correctly. This portion down here is going to be your information. Who would they contact if there was an issue with the verification and they needed to find out more? So please include your name, your phone number, and your email address. Next is the program content. You're going to write out a description of how you're using the SMS and what you're doing with it, the flow of your SMS. And then you're going to select content type, and this can be marketing, whatever, sales or whatever you're doing with the product. Pick the one that best fits your application. Each of these, when you submit them, so if I click any one of these, it gives me a section where I can enter, so other opt-in URL, SMS opt-in URL, all these different things. And we're going to go over that in just a moment. But the first thing that I want to explain on this is the recipient of the SMS always has to make first contact with you. You cannot send an SMS message to someone and say, hey, if you want to opt in, reply start or anything like that. They always have to reach out to you, and they can do that verbally. They can do that through a website. They can do that through a form. So maybe it's a new hire form and they're putting in their phone number. And then just below that, they're saying, I agree to receive SMS messages. You need to have that statement, I agree to receive SMS messages, and usually your company from my company, written right below where they put their phone number in. You can't link to a document that says, hey, here's our policies, and in that policy say that they're going to get SMS. It has to say it right there. So phone number followed by I agree to receive SMS messages from this company. I'm going to zoom in on this portion here with the shared links. And so you're going to want to take screenshots of each portion of this opt-in. So if I had a website and here's the form where they're putting their name in and their phone number and they're agreeing to SMS, I'm going to take screenshots of that. This opt-in URL is a publicly shared drive. And so I'm going to show you for OneDrive, but you're going to stick it in OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, something of that nature. It needs to be publicly shared, not just with Microsoft, but with our downstream aggregator. A quick note on publicly shared information is please don't include personal information. So if you have customer names or customer phone name numbers in those screenshots, please blur those before you publicly share them. So we're going to go over what it looks like in OneDrive. At the top of OneDrive on the left, you'll see new folder. And for mine, I created a folder named SMS opt-in. And then there's a little share icon. When you click this, we don't need to email this anywhere, but we would like to get a link. And the option needs to say anyone with the link can edit. I'm going to copy this link. And then when I go back to my form, I'm going to put it right here in the opt-in URL. Make sure that that link is accessible in 4 to 6 weeks when they're reviewing your application. If that moves or is changed or doesn't open, the application is automatically denied. If you're doing a lab, like a SMS for just a lab and it's internal, this is a form that I've used. And so you can create an Excel sheet and then you can say how you're collecting opt-in. So maybe the person I'm sending it to gives me verbal confirmation, or maybe it was over a Teams chat or Teams call. So I'm going to mention how I got the opt-in, what the person's number was, the date, and did they give permission for me to send them an SMS message. Notice I've kind of obfuscated the phone number and the contact information, and this is perfectly fine. When you're sending these, they don't need real phone numbers, they don't need real names. You're going to select your monthly volume. And so if, say, I was going into production and once I'm fully in production, my volume is going to be 10,000 or whatever it may be, I want to select that higher number, even if it might be a month or two before I get there. I want to select the number that I am estimating for monthly volume. The example message. The first message that you send to an end user should provide a way for them to get out. And so if I was to mistype somebody's phone number and your company sent a message to the wrong person, that first message at the bottom should say, if you do not wish to receive messages from company name, please reply stop. If a customer or end user replies stop to your message, they will not receive any further messages from you. They will get a message on their device that says you've replied stop, you've opted out. If you'd like to continue receiving messages, reply start. If I send a message to somebody that has opted out, they will not receive the message. And in my Azure portal, if I turn on diagnostic settings and go to insights and have delivery reports turned on in my code, I will get a failure and it'll say the user has opted out of receiving messages from you. And the only way to undo that opt-out is for that user to reply start to your phone number. And so you're going to give a couple examples of what messages should look like. When you get through this whole thing and submit this, if you need to make modifications, if you need to make changes to the content of your application, you would need to open a ticket with Microsoft. And then the final thing, just to go over those quick notes about the application status. So once you submit this in the Azure portal under regulatory documents, it will say submitted. In 1 to 3 days, it'll normally go into pending verification and you'll be able to start sending messages. The status is not going to say pending verification. It will still say submitted. And so if you're working with a Microsoft engineer, please provide the application ID to them and they can check the status and give you that final okay when it is in pending. 4 to 6 weeks later, the national aggregator is going to review your application and they're either going to issue that it's verified or they're going to say it's denied and here's the reason. The number one reason I've seen is the opt-in URL doesn't load or the company website doesn't work. And so I hope this is helpful, and have a great day.